Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to your presentation skills class. Today we are back again with our lecture number 25, in which we are going to discuss different types of presentations. To quickly give you a recap of what we have read in our lecture number 24, we talked about some of the do's and don'ts of what you are supposed to do while making one good presentation and what you are not supposed to do while making one good presentation. So the things that we learned through our previous lecture was that you are supposed to be brief while you are trying to make one good presentation. You are supposed to use appropriate fonts for your presentation. You are supposed to use appropriate colors for your presentation. That how distracting colors and how distracting fonts can lead your audience to wonder that what things they are supposed to concentrate on and which things they are not supposed to concentrate on. Then create contrast using the size and colors, that how the brighter backgrounds with the stronger or the lighter contrast, and how the lighter backgrounds with the darker texts on them can suit for different situations. I also showed you some of the displays of how different slides look like while you actually want to make your presentation look good and interesting for your audience. Don't put everything you present on the slide. We also learned that how you can make 1/3 portion of your slide empty, and how you can make your slides look different and strongly contrasted for your readers, so that they can read the content carefully, or they can listen to what you have to say rather than reading from the text. So we learned from the previous lecture that how too much text is to be avoided on the slides if you opt for writing down one good presentation. Then use bright background colors that will strain your audience eyes. So we also learned that how the brighter backgrounds can digress the attention of your reader and of your audience. And then using too many animations and too many sound effects and use of serif fonts, and how different things can lead to digress or to confuse your audience towards what you have to tell them. Today we are going to discuss different types of presentations. Napoleon said that we rule the world by our words. Now, whatever type of the presentation you are presenting in front of the audience, you are supposed to make sure that the communication, the language or medium of instruction or medium of communication that you are using should be the right one. If you are not comfortable with English only, you can open up, or you can announce the topic to your audience in English, but then you can use the bilingualism in your presentation as to make sure that you are not going to make an impression of yourself that you are confused while standing on the stage. So this is how you can make your presentations look good. There are a few speakers who might have this fluency issue or the accuracy issue, like those speakers who are not comfortable while using English language fluently as well as accurately, like there is no flow of thoughts. Maybe it can lead to the disorganized structure of your presentation, and it can also lead to somewhat confusing your reader towards what you have to say. So you are going to see that how what specific language and what specific words you are going to use while you present any kind of type in front of the audience. So our today's focus is on the types of presentations which are being presented in front of the audience. Now there are a lot of ways of presentation. The way I am delivering a lecture right now can be taken as one good presentation, or can be taken as one type of presentation where I am taking help of slides to make sure that you are learning from the slides. There are other situations like you receive this kind of presentations in everyday life. For example, you are sitting in a class and you have been asked to summarize whatever you have read today. For example, out of all of you, if I pick up one student and I tell you that summarize what we have done in our previous lecture, so you would come on the stage here, and you would tell them the recap of the previous lecture. So that would be one kind of presentation. Then sometimes you are being asked to announce, or you are being make an announcement in front of the number or the group of people about some incident, about some invitation or so on. So this is one another type of presentation. You would listen to your Maulvi Saab in your mosque every Friday telling you this sermon of what a Muslim should be and how Muslims should behave. So that very sermon is also one kind of a presentation. And there are so many other types which we receive every day and which we listen to every day that can be taken as one type of presentation. But there are some specific types of presentations that we will come across which are actually related to your course, in which you are supposed to study and which you are supposed to concentrate on. So to begin with, whether is in business or in your personal life, you make dozens of presentations every day. Being conscious of each type and how they apply to you will help you be more effective in getting the outcomes you desire. Let's review the types and write notes on how each apply to you. Be sure and add any type that may not be listed. So you are going to see all those types that I'm going to discuss with you. Try to see that which types are related to your daily life and which types you are comfortable with, that you can apply in your everyday life. And also try to see that how these types can be polished and which one is the best one for you to pick up if you are to select one topic on yourself for the presentation. So to begin with, let's first of all discuss the purpose of presentation, that what exactly is the purpose of presentation. Then we will move on to different types of presentations. Presentations are powerful way to communicate your message to the group of people. Now your message is to be conveyed to the group of people. That group of people should comprehend your message well. In other words, your point of view should be as clear and concise to the group of people as they can understand the gist of or the version of your presentation. They are an opportunity to gather your audience together to engage in two-way dialogue. So that's a two-way process. You are presenting, your audience is listening, and maybe they can come up with the question and answers for you to be answered by the end of the session or maybe during the sessions. Managers use presentation. Now how presentations are being used in different situations by the one presenter to persuade the audience to take particular course of action. For example, you are trying to persuade the audience towards taking a particular course of action. For example, maybe if you join any institution or maybe if you join any university, you are being invited in their auditorium to listen to that what is the code of conduct. So you go there and your instructor or the presenter, whosoever is trying or whosoever is managing the situation, will guide you towards that how and what steps and what code of conduct you are supposed to follow once you have taken admission in this university. Sometimes presenters present to convey something you want the audience to know. So in other words, that is some kind of an information that you want your audience to know. Tailor information to meet the needs of a particular audience. Sometimes maybe your audience is already informed about any issue, or they already know about any issue, but you sometimes tailor or you restructure that information to be presented in front of the audience to make sure that what particular group of people needs to know more about that particular field. Provide a forum for discussion of conversational or challenging ideas. So this is how you can make your presentation look good. Find out how people are reacting to a situation or an idea. Now sometimes presentations are being made to find out that how people are reacting to certain situation and what could be the possibilities to find out the ideas on that very matter. Gain commitment and alignment. Sometimes presentations are given to find out or to gain the commitment. Sometimes you want to engage people in generating solutions to the problem. So sometimes an issue is being raised in the presentation and you try to find out the solutions to the related problem which you want to present. So there are some purposes of presentations, and based on all these purposes there are different types of presentations that we are going to discuss today. Now, the major types of presentations in the college life or in the university life or in the academic situation or in the educational situation are solo presentations and the group presentations. Now, as a student, you are 1,000 times asked to come in front of the whole class and announce or to tell your ideas about so and so topic, to share so and so information. Maybe you are being asked to give your personal views on something, and so on and so forth. So these kind of things become your solo presentation, where you are standing alone on the stage and you are trying to deliver the required or the desired information. You are trying to inform about the desired point of view. You are going to give your critical review on so and so desired thing. You are trying to persuade the your audience, and so on and so forth. So different purposes of your presentation can be used in solo presentations. Remember, solo presentation is one kind of presentation in which you are supposed to stand alone on the stage and to deliver the strong argument in front of the audience. Now, these solo presentations may be in the form of PowerPoint presentations, or they can be handwritten, or they can be extempore speeches which you are supposed to make in front of the group of people. The second type is the group presentations, where you are particularly assigned one topic and you are given that topic to work on, which is usually taken as your subject of presentation or your project of presentation, on which you work thoroughly. And then each member of the group, how many are as many as they are, 5, 4 or 3, they are supposed to come one by one on the stage and to present their part, to prove or to provide any information to prove their point of view or to persuade the attention of the audience, and so on and so forth. So these are two major types of presentations which are being used every day in the educational scenario, where you are sometimes asked alone to come on the stage and present, and sometimes you are supposed to come as a group to present something in front of the audience. Now, there are some other types of presentations which we will discuss thoroughly today, one by one. The first one is the informative type, the second one is the demonstrative type, the third one is business type, the fourth one are the persuasive speeches, and the fifth one are the inspirational speeches, which you are supposed to keep in mind, which you are supposed to stick to while you are trying to deliver one good presentation. So any one of the type maybe is being assigned to you by your instructor, by your teacher, by your course coordinator, maybe anyone who wants you to work on them regularly and thoroughly. So to move on with, first of all, we are going to discuss the informative presentation, and let's see that what exactly you are supposed to do while you are delivering this type of presentation in front of the audience. Now, these are the most common types of presentations and are used to present research basically. So if you have done any research on the master's level, or maybe you have done any research as a MS student or as a PhD, or you have done your doctorate, sometimes if you write down the research paper related to any issue or related to any particular topic in the society, your information, your presentation, once you would try to deliver that very particular information in front of the audience, that presentation type will be known as your informative presentation. A student, he is defending a thesis, or a non-profitable group that did a research study will use informative speeches to present their findings. Now, thesis, your research studies, whatsoever case it is, the students will be giving this kind of information to tell about their findings, whatsoever they have found out during their research, and to inform those findings to the audience, and then giving your personal recommendations on the selected topic. So these kind of informative presentations is one type that is usually revolves around presenting the research based on any thesis or any research study that you have conducted during the course of time. Now, the second type of presentation is known as demonstrative presentation. As the name itself very well indicates, that you are going to demonstrate something, or you are going to present something in front of the audience. These will show you how to do something. Now, demonstration of something is very important, like how to do something. For example, if you would have seen that how these teachers are being selected in the university, in some institutions or in some of the colleges or universities or in any educational institution where they want to hire any teacher for teaching there, what do? Usually is they call the teacher for the demonstration, or for, in other words, we call it demo. Now, this demo is something that what techniques and what methodologies they are going to take to teach their students or their pupils. Now, this demonstration is something that how to do something, that how would they be teaching their students, is one type of presentation that usually people are asked to deliver to do so. Sometimes taking it towards the technical side, sometimes if you are asking, or if you are telling the number or the group of people that how to use any machinery, or how to use any like, let's say, any machine, you give them the complete demonstration, starting from the very first point, that how to fix that machine, how to put that into the system, how to properly charge that, how to actually make it function, which buttons you are supposed to press if you want it to move, which buttons you are supposed to press if you want it to stop, and then you tell each and everything about that very machinery to your audience. So these are those kind of this is one type of presentation where the process of doing something is being presented in front of the audience. In introduction to communication classes, these speeches are usually how to make cakes kind of speeches. So the process is being explained in the whole presentation, and include different pictures and steps to the process. So sometimes if for example, I gave you the example of machinery, if the machine is available in front of you, you can make help of, or you can use that to make your audience understand that what exactly you are talking about. But if the machinery is not available, you can make the help of, or you can use pictures to display that what elements you want your audience to focus on while you are giving them the demonstration of how to use one machinery. So this is how these demonstration type is different from the informative type. So as far we have discussed the two types of presentations, the informative and demonstrative. The third type of the presentation is the persuasive speeches. This kind of speech is trying to change the way you think about a subject or issue. So it tries to change your thinking towards any particular subject or any particular issue. If you have come to health conference, you may find yourself listening to why you should change your eating habits or stop drinking. So in other words, persuasive speeches or the persuasive presentations ask you for doing something or for your understanding of, or for changing the way you think about one particular issue or one particular subject in such a way that they are going to be useful and beneficial for you. In other words, persuasion asks for your direct contribution towards something that is going to help you see that how you can change your thoughts towards any particular subject or any issue. The next type is the inspirational speeches. These speeches are designed to make your audience move. You are going to inspire them. Also considered as motivational speech, this is designed to encourage participants to go after their goals, whatever they may be. So you are somewhat going to, motivate people towards doing something that they really wanted to do. For example, if the topic of the inspirational speech is how to become a good teacher, or why teaching should be taken as a profession. Now those who are already or who once have in their lives wish to become a good teacher, they should be moved by the inspirational speech or inspirational presentation that you are delivering in front of them. So all the elements there in the inspirational speech helps those listeners and those audience move or get motivated towards the original message. Inspirational speeches will tell stories, and hope is that the audience will feel an emotional connection to the topic. So in other words, inspirational speeches are kind of they carry the emotional connection to the topic, whatever is being announced or whatever is being under discussion. So these are 4 major types that we have discussed so far, starting with the informative to persuasive. Then we also discussed the third type, that is motivational, or that is inspirational. To move on with, we are to discuss another type, that is business plan or strategy. Now, business planning or strategy sketches out what an organization plans to do next or articulates the company goals. So it usually has something to do with the plans. Maybe any company has launched any new product, or maybe one company A is supposed to report to company B, or maybe the company manager is supposed to deliver the presentation of the future plans. Like for example, now we will be going towards next year, and we will see that how to plan out for the next year. So this is how usually these kind of business plan or strategies help you develop your presentations based on the targets of the future, or the future targets which are there. So this is how you explain this type of presentation, which is different from other types of presentations in some way or the other. Now there are some business presentation types which are supposed to be kept in mind while you opt for making one good presentation, other than the 4 basic or the major types of presentation through which you and the ways of presenting the solo and the group presentations. Now let's see that what business presentation type, being the major one, is divided into how many categories. The first one is the sales presentations, where business development pitches in person or over the phone, as well as it attempts to sell a product. So for example, there is a sales presentation being going on, and you jump in and you try to see that how the presenter of the situation is trying to persuade. Now these presentations, they revolve around the information, providing the information, as well as they revolve around providing the or persuade the attention of the reader, attention of the audience towards one basic subject. Now moving on to the next point, let's talk about the training sessions type of the business presentation type, in which the training sessions are being conducted for communicating information for audience self-improvement. Now for example, if you see that there is one workshop on teacher training. Now this teacher training workshop presentation is actually trying to provide the information for audience self-improvement, that how teachers can improve their methodologies and their ways of teaching towards children. So this is how these training sessions are being conducted. Let's take another example, that how the training session of, or the training presentation of telling people that how to speak efficiently, fluently and accurately. So this is another training session where those audiences will be interested to listen who are interested to improve their English proficiency by making it fluent and accurate. Now, another business presentation type is speeches, which talks to groups with the purpose of entertaining or inspiring. So sometimes speeches behind the rostrum or maybe standing in front of the rostrum are being made to inspire as well as to entertain. So this is one type of inspirational presentation which we can come across in our during our presentation. Then there are meetings, organizational attempts to move an effort from point A to point B. Now meetings are also being conducted. They are also one kind of presentations where you are to motivate or to inspire one person from point A to point B. This could be a phone meeting, as in-person meeting, a video broadcasting meeting, or so on and so forth. So these are the techniques which can be used to present one meeting presentation for your audience. Now see, the different techniques are being used. The video broadcast meeting, like video conferencing technique, can be used to see that how the person sitting behind the camera can talk to you and can convey his or her utmost thoughts to inspire you, to motivate you towards doing something. The next type of presentation is the media presentation, which appearances in front of reporters, cameras on the phone, radio interviews to communicate a message. Now these media presentations, like you see or you watch these anchor persons, you watch these newscasters on the television screen, all of these people, they are actually giving you the presentation of everyday information about whatsoever is going on in the or whatsoever is happening around through the media presentations. Then there are e-presentations, which are also known as electronic presentations, which in which communicating or influencing via fax, email, or PowerPoint. So this is one type of presentation that can be used as a tool once you actually plan on presenting a business presentation in front of your audience. The next type is the branding messages. The branding messages actually focus on the efforts to communicate a consistent message about what we stand for as an organization or as a person. So sometimes you become the brand image, you become the brand ambassador of any company, or you become the brand ambassador of any institution to tell that how you can brand it out in the market and present it in front of the larger group of audiences which are there waiting for your feedback and your findings to be shared with them. Then there are seminars. You would have attended any seminar in which you would have seen that how there are 10 to 100 people sitting in the huge auditorium listening to only one person who is standing on the stage. So these are those kind of presentations which are related to only one topic. There can be two or more than 3 or 4 speakers of the seminar who are going to speak on one particular topic to share their utmost or their personal point of views about or related to one topic. Then and there is another type which is one-on-one presentation, an individualized presentation opportunity, whether in person or over the phone. So there is one another type, that is one-on-one presentation, which can be an interview session where one person is sitting who is going to interview the next person. So this is one type where you can see that how individual presentation opportunities are given to one person to present themselves in front of the one person where you are supposed to give your personal point of view to. Then there are some personal presentation types which has got some different categories. They are usually influential or the persuasion kind of presentations which attempt to win someone over to your point of view. So once you are trying to influence someone, or once you are trying to persuade someone towards one particular point that is wholly solely your own, you are supposed to make sure that the next person or the audience is being moved by, or they are being convinced by your point of view that you want to present in front of them. Then there are teaching sessions. Every day you listen to your teachers, other than you are listening to me also. You are attending the training or the teaching sessions. Now these teaching sessions can be taken as one type of personal presentation. Opportunities to impact skills and information to others from little league to continuing education. So as you can see me on the slide, this is one kind of presentation. If that was a lifelike scenario where we could that was a physical scenario where we could see each other also, that would also become one teaching session or the teaching presentation of one type. Now that we are done with some of the presentation types, out of which informational, persuasive, then solo, then group presentations, that how you can make the business presentations and so on and so forth, and what are the purposes of making one presentation. Now pick up one presentation and try to see that how you can make such presentation which people or which your audience will love. So let's work on it, and let's try to see that whatever type of presentation you choose or you are supposed to give your presentation on, you are supposed to stick to some of the things which I am to discuss with you to make your audience love your presentation thoroughly. Now that we have also discussed some of the do's and don'ts in our previous lectures, now that particularly talking about the type of presentation that you have selected for your audience, try to make the accurate use of a template that you want to use for your audience. If that is a business type presentation, try to see that what images or what things or what template you can use to grab or grasp the attention of the audience. If you are there to persuade someone, if you are to demonstrate something to someone, if you are giving the demonstrative presentation, or you are giving the inspirational presentation, or if you are giving the business presentation, you are to pick up template accordingly. Use a set font and color scheme. Now you are to work on your font and your color scheme accordingly, because if you are giving one kind of inspirational presentation, that should look interesting to your audience rather than looking dull and boring. Different styles are disconcentrating to the audience. You want to audience to focus on what you present, not the way you present. So your audience won't be looking at you only, they will also be looking at the slides that you have made for them. Any kind of a medium that you are using, you are using the flip charts, you are using the PowerPoint slides, you are making use of the whiteboard, and so on and so forth. This will make your audience feel alive, and it will help. The use of the template will help. Any type of a presentation that you are presenting will help your audience get involved in your presentation. Now the next thing that you are supposed to keep in mind is the fonts. Choose a clean font that is easy to read. So using sans serif fonts is the best idea. Roman and Gothic by typefaces are easier to read than a script or comic. Now see, these are somewhat complex fonts or the complicated fonts which are not readable or which are not easy to be read by your audience. Stick with one or two types of fonts which relate to only one font family throughout your presentation. Any type of presentation that you are using, so try to stick to only one family font that can be used throughout consistently. The use of bullets. Now if you are giving the business presentations or the persuasive presentation, try to make sure that you have the margin of elaborating your product in front of your audience. If you are giving one demonstrative presentation, try to see that how much bullets you are going to insert along with the visual aids which are there to be presented in front of the audience. Keep each bullet to one line. 8 words per bullet is the best idea, or 2 at the most. Limit the number of bullets into screen to 6 sometimes when your bullets are longer than 8 words per line. Now bullets and queuing. Bullets allow you to cue to the audience is on what you are going to say. Cues can be thought of a brief preview. This gives you audience a framework to build upon. Now that you are writing each and everything related to any presentation type that you are presenting, try to make sure that you are going to insert the bullets. Stick to one bullet at a time so that your audience can stick to it and can listen to you carefully, that how you are trying to persuade them towards buying any product that you have recently launched. Then another thing while you are making any type of presentation is that do not use all capital letters for emphasis. Try to avoid that. Instead of use colors and the group of words. Make text, it sometimes makes your text harder to read. It conceals the acronyms and it denies their use of emphasis. Rather it gives an impression that you are shouting at your audience. So I hope that you are not shouting, so try to make not to use these capitalized words in caps or italics. Italics are usually used for the quotes. They are used to highlight thoughts or ideas to make them different, look different from the rest of the text in your slide. They are used for writing down the name of the book and writing down the name of the journal or the magazine titles. So it depends on that how you are going to use these italics in whatever type of presentation that you are using. So if you are being given one literature presentation, try to make sure that the name of the books and the authors that you would be writing should be italicized. You should not write them in caps because capitalization is not a very good idea when you talk about literature presentations. Now colors can also be used to provide an emphasis on different words. Reds and oranges are high energy but can be difficult to stay focused on. So try to stick to those colors whatever type of presentation you are making. Try to stick with the darker backgrounds with the stronger or the lighter text, or the lighter backgrounds with the darker text. Greens, blues and browns are mellower but not as attention grabbing. So try to avoid these colors because sometimes they cannot grab the attention of your audience. The backgrounds in your types of presentations should be used accordingly. A white on a dark background is used for this presentation as the author assumes most users will review the presentation on their own computer. Having a darker background on a computer screen reduces glare. White on dark background should not be used if the audience is more than 20 feet away. So you are going to make sure that the selection of your background should be accordingly as to make sure that your audience is not going to digress from, or they are not going to divert, or they can see your backgrounds prominently in whatever type of presentation you are making. Use of the color wheel in your presentation, any presentation type, rather it is business, it is personal, it is demonstrative, it is influential and so on. Colors separated by another color are contrasting colors, also known as complementary. Now if you see this circle, they have got these strong combinations of colors which are related or which are associated with the different colors. So whatever type of presentation you are using, use your color accordingly. If you are giving the business presentation, try to make your presentation look different and to look somewhat look professional in a way. If you are giving one inspirational presentation, try to use those colors which themselves can inspire people. If you are using the demonstrative presentation, since it will carry a lot of pictures, try to stick to the lighter shades. So this is how you are going to use the adjacent colors to harmonize with one another. For example, green and yellows can be used to make your presentation look interesting. Now there is one attention grabber. To make a slide stand out, change the font or background. So sometimes if you want to show your product to your audience during your business presentation or during your sales presentation, try to make that particular slide look different, in which you are displaying or you are going to introduce your launched product to your audience. So this is how you can make one attention grabber for your audience. Talking about illustrations, use only when needed, otherwise they become distractors instead of communicators. So you are going to use these illustrations once or if they are required. They should relate to the message and help make a point. So they should be relevant and they should be related to the topic on which you are talking about. Ask yourself if it makes the message clearer. So try to ask yourself that if these illustrations are supporting your main idea. Simple diagrams are great communicators, so stick to the simple diagrams which can communicate your idea well in front of the audience. We can also use this technique of using the flip charts in your presentation. Now these flip charts can be used if you are giving any kind of let's say again sales presentation or any personal presentation. Let's say you are giving the presentation of your maths class. So these flip charts, as you can see on the slide as well, they can be of good or of a great help once you try to deliver or once you try to solve any equation or any problem in your maths presentation. Make letters at least of 1/4 high, and flip charts with lines are much easier to write on. As you can see on the slide as well, these ones with the lines are much easier to write your text on, because if there is a flat or if there is a plain chart on your flip chart, you won't be able to convey your idea smartly. Now keep in mind these screen sizes for the readability. Screen 6, 8, 10, 12 and 15 should be divided accordingly. So you can see that, and you can divide your screen accordingly once you plan to deliver any type of presentation you are interested on. Now you do not use the media to hide you. So you are most important thing during the presentation. So you should not use these multimedia slides, any type of a presentation while you are using. You are not going to use these multimedia type of things or these media type of things to hide you behind your message. Because the audience, they have come to see you. They want to see you as well as they want to listen to the message that you want to deliver to them. The media should enhance the presentation, not be the presentation. So your media or your multimedia, the way I am being combined with the slides, you are to show yourself off to your audience to make sure that you look presentable to the audience. So because audience have come to listen to what you have to tell them, as well as how you tell them it that way. If all you are going to do is read from the slides or overheads, then just send them the slides. So if you are not interested in telling them on your own, what best idea you can do is that you can simply send them the slides in the USBs or in the CDs or in the DVDs, whatsoever channel you want to use, but this is not a very good technique. Remember, only you can prevent the death by PowerPoint. So you are the most important thing while presentation. You and your presentation both go hand in hand, because the stuff that you have written on your presentation, only in that is important, and only in that way you would be able to deliver any type of presentation that you have been assigned by your instructor, or you have picked up that very topic for your presentation yourself. Now let's see one sample presentation of Steve Jobs, the great name, the great person, the one who is awarded as the best presenter. Now let's see if I hope that the material has been specially downloaded for you to see that how these kind of people have become one good source of inspiration for other people. Now the types of the presentation Steve Jobs gives is one type of presentation where you have margin of looking at the demonstration of things. Then you have the margin of looking at how he tries to motivate people and how he tries to persuade people towards buying something. Basically Steve Jobs presents his product, these mobile phones, to your audience to see that how they can get their attention towards buying some particular product. Now let's begin with our slideshow, and let's try to see that how this great person has become very famous or has become one good presenter. Now let's click on the link and let's try to see that how he has tried to do so.
Anyone who has watched a Steve Jobs keynote will tell you he is one of the most extraordinary speakers in corporate America.
Who does the best job of that in the world?
While most presenters simply convey information, Jobs inspires. I'm Carmine Gallo, and today I'll walk you through several key techniques that Steve Jobs uses to electrify his audience. They're elements you can adopt in your very next presentation.
Welcome to Macworld 2008. We've got some great stuff for you. There's clearly something in the air today.
With those words, Jobs opened Macworld 2008, setting the theme for his presentation and hinting at the major announcement of the day, the launch of the ultra-thin MacBook Air. Whether it's a new notebook or the iPhone, Jobs unveils a single headline that sets the theme.
Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
Once you identify a theme, make sure it's clear and consistent throughout the presentation. Think of a staff meeting as a presentation. So let's say you're a sales manager introducing a new software tool to help your team generate, track, and share sales leads. You might kick off your meeting this way. Good morning. Thanks for coming. I know you'll be really excited about this. Today we make it easier for you to make your quota. That's the headline. Easier to make quota. It's memorable, and it sets the direction for the rest of your meeting. It gives your audience a reason to listen.
So I've got 4 things I'd like to talk about with you today. So let's get started.
Steve Jobs always provides an outline for his presentation and then verbally opens and closes each section with a clear transition in between. Here's an example.
So that's time capsule, a perfect companion to leopard, and that's the first thing I wanted to share with you this morning.
The point is, make it easy for your listeners to follow your story. Your outline will serve as guideposts along the way. You'll also notice that during his presentations, Jobs uses words like extraordinary, amazing, and cool. He is passionate, enthusiastic, and it shows.
Incredible, unbelievable, amazing, awesome, extraordinary year for Apple.
You know, your audience wants to be wowed, not put to sleep. Too many people fall into this presentation mode. It's stiff, it's formal, it lacks pizzazz. We, your listeners, are giving you permission to have fun and to be excited about your company, your product, or your service. If you're not passionate about it, we're not going to be. Remember, Jobs isn't selling hardware. He's selling an experience. If you offer numbers and statistics, make them meaningful.
We have sold 4 million iPhones to date. If you divide 4 million by 200 days, that's 20,000 iPhones every day on average.
Numbers don't mean much unless they're placed in context. Managers, connect the dots for your listeners. Recently, I worked with a company that launched a 12-gigabyte memory card. 12 gigabytes! That number doesn't mean much to most people, so we put it into context. We said that's enough memory to listen to your music while traveling to the moon and back. Now, 12 gigs means something to me. Make numbers meaningful. One of the most effective elements of a Steve Jobs presentation is that they are easy on the eyes. His presentations are visual and simple. While most speakers fill their slides with mind-numbing data and text and charts, Jobs does just the opposite. He uses very little text and usually 1, maybe 2 images per slide. You see, you want to paint a picture for your audience without overwhelming them. Inspiring presentations are short on bullet points and big on visuals. If you really want your presentation to pop, treat it like a show, with ebbs and flows, themes, and transitions. Jobs includes video clips, demonstrations, and guests. He also has a knack for dramatic flair, and it's very effective. For example, when introducing the MacBook Air, Jobs drew cheers by opening a manila interoffice envelope and holding the laptop out for everyone to see.
This is the new MacBook Air, and you can get a feel for how thin it is.
What is the one memorable moment of your presentation? Identify it ahead of time, then build up to it.
With a little help from our friends, everything will work today.
And finally, rehearse, rehearse, and rehearse some more.
Let me show you how easy that is now.
Steve Jobs makes it look easy because he spends hours rehearsing. He cannot pull off an intricate presentation with video clips and demonstrations and outside speakers without practice. The result, a presentation that is perfectly synchronized and looks, yes, effortless. Now, the average business person does not have the resources to create a Steve Jobs extravaganza, but you do have time to rehearse. The greatest presenters do it, and so should you. Oh, and one more thing. At the end of most presentations, Jobs adds to the drama by saying, "And one more thing."
One last thing.
He then adds a new product or a feature, sometimes just introduces a band. This not only heightens the excitement, it also leaves your audience feeling they've been given an added bonus. The point is, Steve Jobs approaches each presentation as an event, a production with a strong opening, product demonstrations in the middle, and a strong conclusion. And yes, even an encore, that one more thing. I wish you a dazzling presentation.
Now, this presentation must have helped you see that how you can prepare one good sample. This sample of the presentation by Steve Jobs must have helped you see that how you can give a proper introduction to your presentation, how you can take it further. If it is a business presentation, how you can take it further for your audience. If that is an inspirational presentation, how to do that. If that's a demonstrative presentation, how you can do that, and so on and so forth. So try to see that how successfully and how beautifully Steve Jobs covers up and concludes his presentation by telling one more thing to his audience. So this one more thing is going to tell the audience that there is something really interesting for them, and they are going to looking forward to that, what that one more thing is. So see how beautifully and how smartly this person Steve Jobs has tried to make these presentations look good for the audience. Now it brings us to the end of today's lecture. Today we have read about the different types of presentations, out of which you can pick up one for your final project presentation to be assigned to you. I told you earlier that you have got 15% weightage of your presentation skills in your coursework. In today's lecture we have talked about the purposes of presentation, that what are the purposes of presentation that can be used in different ways for your audience to see that how successfully you can grab their attention towards your particular subject. We also talked about some different types of presentations, starting from the solo presentation, that one which you are supposed to give by yourself, maybe on the spot, maybe you get time to get prepared for the presentation. Then there are some group presentations of any major subject. Remember, the solo and the group presentations are usually taken in the academic or the educational kind of scenarios. Then the informative presentations, which are basically revolve around the research papers, the theses, or the research questions that one has worked on, and they try to present them in front of the audience. Sometimes you give the demonstrative presentations as how to do something, and you present that thing in front of the audience. Maybe you can give them one demo of how to use one thing, or maybe you can show them one video for that. Then there are some business presentations. Business presentation types we have thoroughly worked on, and we have seen that how you can pick up one type of business presentation to make let your presentation look different and interesting for the others. Then there are some persuasive speeches which help the speaker to see that how to persuade your audience towards one major thing that you want them to learn about. So this persuasion element comes once you are successful to see that how you can persuade or grab the attention of your reader. Then there are some inspirational speeches which help to inspire the people, which help to change the point of view of the people related to one particular thing they think of. Then how you can make your presentation is more important than whatever type of presentation you pick up for your audiences. So whatever type of the presentation, you are either being assigned by your tutor or you are being assigned by your instructor, or any type of presentation that you a presentation topic or presentation type that you pick up for presenting in front of the particular group of people or the particular audience who are interested to see that what you are supposed to deliver to them, they are more important. We have also seen one sample presentation of Steve Jobs, that how he actually floats and how he actually welcomes his audience and brings them to the situation by introducing what he has to say. So this introduction thing is really important. Then we have seen that how he uses different types of techniques and different types of presentations in during his one presentation. Like he tries to inspire, at the same time he tries to demonstrate, he tries to inform, as well as he tries to sell out something. So this is how he has got this major portion of the presentation wrapped up in such a vigor and such a versatile way that you are being moved by it somehow. And then he closes and brings a conclusion to his presentation by showing you or by telling you about one more thing that is of your interest. As I say goodbye to you for today's lecture, and I hope to see you in the next class, where we will discuss the weightage of verbal and non-verbal communication during your presentation. I wish you a very good luck for your next lecture, and for everything, for every quiz and assignment that you will receive during your essay writing and presentation skills course. I still have one more thing for you to see. I'll see you in the next class. You see one more thing, and I'll see you again. Take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.
But we do have one more thing. So thank you. But there is one last thing that I'd like to talk to you about today. But there is one more thing that I want to talk about. But there is one more thing. You guys have sat through a lot, and I really appreciate it today. And there is one more thing. But there is one more thing. There is one more thing. But there's one more thing. But there is one more thing. But we do have one more thing today. But there is one more thing. But there is one more little thing. But there's one more little thing. So, I got one more thing. We'll see you all soon. Thanks. But we do have one more thing.